Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
We just can't get it together.
What you mean we can't get it together?
I'm doing great, sister. How about you? I'm so happy to see you, sister.
Oh, what's going on, folks out there? If you're tuning in, we thank you for tuning in live with us tonight on Hey Sister. Let us know where you're watching from. As always, we want you to join the conversation in the comments. Be involved in the conversation this evening. Also, like, follow, share, and subscribe. Let folks know what we got going on at Hey Sister. So, as you can see, we are not in our usual locations and we're together.
Yes.
Yay!
Yes.
But you've seen us from this location before.
Our secret
Location, right? That's not quite a secret. So yes, we're here in Louisiana with our parents. We are going to be embarking on a little trip.
Just telling everything.
We're gonna be embarking on a little trip.
Okay.
We're celebrating some things, right?
Yes.
You know what? It's been a rough couple of years, and so it's time for celebration. And so next Sunday, which is normally is the first Sunday of the month, which is normally our hot topics day, is Sissy's birthday. Woo! So we're gonna be celebrating that on next Sunday. So we won't be coming to you live next week. So we decided to do the hot topics episode here tonight, and because we will be celebrating. Yes. And one thing we've learned from this time of COVID is that every birthday is a milestone.
Yes. No matter if it's 5 in the denominator or not denominator. If it's
ends in 5,
a multiple of 5 there. That's what I'm trying to say. A multiple of 5. No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So we should really be celebrating all of our birthdays. So if you're tuning in, let us know where you're tuning in from and who is out there watching right now. We thank you for joining in. As we said, tonight is going to be about some hot topics.
I just really feel like I made a bad choice with this lip color.
As you can see, I didn't even do no lip color today because I'm like, listen, y'all gonna get it how it is right here, right now. Okay, this is the face you get tonight. Okay, but you know what, the news, I tell you, hot topics, there's so many things that we can be talking about.
Lots of things.
Lots of things that we could be talking about. But first, one of the things we want to talk about. So we usually start off with arrest and power. And last week, one of comedians who we all know from movies like Friday and
all of the stuff that Master P did.
House Party, I think he was in that too. AJ Johnson passed away, and he was 56 years of age. And for those of us who continue to mature, we're like, ooh, that's young. It's not that old. But why it's a hot topic tonight is because his wife took to social media to say, really lambast people, because she said, don't show any fake love. That they needed money for his funeral. They needed money to help these kids and grandkids. Is in essence of what she said, and we'll find the link so we can drop it in so you can read it. And so a GoFundMe account went up and asking for 40,000. I think
no, it was only 20,000 initially. They've gotten over 45,000.
Oh, okay. I think the latest I've seen is at 50,000 that they've collected. But the reason it's a hot topic is because we've seen this before. And it just, I don't understand like where the message is not getting and resonating with people. We've even had financial experts on this show, right? Talking about being prepared. What do you think, sister, about taking to social media and guilting people or trying to suggest that people are not showing love because they're not helping you pay for a funeral?
So first and foremost, I just want to say yes, rest in power to Mr. AJ Johnson. He did bring some laughs to many of us, and like all the other folks that we've talked about in the past, I think he his artistry, his comedy, those are things that will live on, and so that's the great part of it, right? So I don't want that to get lost. Um, with respect to his wife's decision to go on social media. So I kind of feel two ways. Number one, obviously, it is absolutely no one's responsibility to pay for any funeral costs of any sort for anyone else. You know, I mean, even if it was his kids and they were old enough and they were in a financial position to do so, they're not required to do that. I think that, you know, it's hard, right? Especially when you're so young. A lot of times we're not thinking about our demise. And so I get that part. He may not have been fully equipped because he wasn't necessarily planning for his demise. But at the same time, I think, you know, we have to really start having some serious conversations about the fact that there are some things that are inevitable, death being one of them. And so we should begin looking at making certain financial plans for ourselves and our children, even though that's not a topic that you like to talk about. Now, as far as his wife is concerned, perhaps she could have just reached out to people specifically and you know, ask if she needed help. But the idea, like, don't send fake love, you know, y'all not giving any money, like it felt very much like the guilt trip. And my question is,
and crass
and insensitive and a little bit entitled, like a lot of entitlement associated with it. And my question was, so what happens next? Because she felt like she wanted to give him this funeral that he deserved. And the one thing that I've always been taught is you don't deserve anything, you earn it. And in this case, if the people who loved him and cared about him wanted to rally around him in that way, I feel like they would have. If they didn't, then they shouldn't have been sort of yeah, I didn't think that was a very nice thing to do. It just, yeah. But I saw that Lil Rel gave $4,000 when I looked on it, because his name was up there. I didn't just go looking for his name. His name popped up as like one of the highest donors. And so from his perspective, I guess that's somebody who he related to from a comedy standpoint. But even that, he didn't have to give even $4,000. So you know,
or
$4.
You know, this is the thing. When we're of a certain age, even before we're a certain age. So before we're a certain age, one of the things we have to do a better job in our communities is have these crucial conversations about money, about our relationship with money, about our plans. We've seen it too many times in families where somebody dies, everybody got to run together, have fish dinners and whatever, sell t-shirts in order to raise some capital in order to have a funeral. And this nobody don't deserve anything. You kind of get what you get, because you know, I've had people say, oh well, they had to cremate this person, oh well, that wasn't right, they shouldn't have did that. They did not plan for their end, so how can you cast judgment, right?
Well, especially if you don't, you know, if you're not going to contribute, you definitely can't cast judgment.
But if we're at a certain age, like, we have to have life insurance, period. Like, it, period. And if you're still in your working years, if you're still in your earning years, if you're still in your earning years and you have debts, if you're in your earning years and you have people who are you are responsible for or feel responsible for in terms of children and or grandchildren and or whomever, if you have people who you feel that you're responsible for, you have to have life insurance. Full stop.
Well, I don't know. Okay, here's my thing. I don't know that I'm going to say you have to have life insurance. You have to be able to pay for yourself to eat. If you want to get in the ground, you have to be able to pay for that. If you want to be cremated, you have to be able to pay for that. I'm not going to say
Well, that's
that
what
you.
life assurance, a life, but hold up, let me finish. Life insurance affords that the people you leave behind will have something. So what I've said is,
Right.
if you have people who,
But if you feel that you need to leave something to them, because if you don't feel like you need to leave something to them,
right,
fine.
if you don't feel like you need to leave nothing to them, fine. But then you need to have a policy at somebody's funeral home.
Exactly.
You
You
still
need
got
to
to
have
have something.
That is
So if you have
something that's
people
not
who are
GoFundMe.
in your care, if you have people you feel responsible for, you need life insurance, and you're still in your earning years. You still out there on tour, making money, generating income. Then you got to have life insurance, because in the event that that income is lost, how they going to be taken care of?
Right.
Then you got to have life insurance. If you don't care about them, then you at least need to have, if something happened to you, how you going, you need to have a burial policy, or you need to have whatever. Go to somebody's funeral home and get something set up. I saw this cute little movie called Palms on Netflix, where the lady had her ashes put in fireworks, and so they could do a fireworks show with her, and so that's how her ashes was spread. Honey, whatever it is, but you got to make them arrangements and pay for it. Period, point blank. You got to have a will. And so he's now one of the many. Even people who like Prince, no will. Just, you have to have a will. You need to leave instructions. We all need to leave instructions behind. So I'm just kind of at the point now. We are at an age in our society. So I'm not talking about our linear age. I'm talking about as an age in our society. We have seen enough of people who have passed away unexpectedly, tragically, at a young age, but were mature enough to have had these things taken care of. That's kind of where I'm at. So
Well,
let's see.
What do we say?
We got some comments
Yeah,
here.
let's look at the comments.
Exactly. You just had a discussion with my daughter about this. We attended a webinar titled Estate Planning, the Big Three. Absolutely. You need to have a will. You got to have your advanced directives, your healthcare directives. And I will say this. One of the things that I learned, because I have a college age child, is that you need to have a healthcare power of attorney in place, because if something happened to my child right now, he is of majority age, right? I wouldn't be able to make decisions for him if he was in some type of health situation in a hospital, hospitalized, because he's old enough. And what we've seen right now in these COVID situations, hospitals have been making choices about care for people versus their family members, right? And so if you don't have nobody to be your voice, if I didn't have a power of attorney, I can't be his voice if he didn't have a voice. So you need to have a healthcare power of attorney in place for your children who are of a certain age and off in college, most definitely. Yes, Aretha Franklin didn't have a will either.
I thought she did. I thought she had 3 wills, and I thought one of them was in
Aretha had one that was written on paper that was in her bra right here.
Yeah, one was in
one
the
was in
sofa.
I mean,
like...
she had all kinds, but in terms of one formal final document, that wasn't done. So they had to piece some things together.
Yeah.
She did. Y'all know this, the old black lady purse right here, honey. She had it right up in here. Y'all laughing if you want to, sister. I don't know why you're laughing at me, because you know it's true.
Well, all I will say is this, again, God bless AJ Johnson, and God bless his family. But I just feel like they're going to put themselves, because of this, go fund me. It's the new fish dinner, I guess. It's not what, I don't think that's necessarily what the platform was intended to do, but
it has become that.
It's become that. And I just think that we have to just be mindful of the fact that, again, here's the thing about GoFundMe. You can request certain amounts of money, but I think they give it to you regardless. Some of them don't. Some of the different platforms don't give you the amount unless you actually hit the amount that you said you were going to hit. So it varies. I think GoFundMe might give you anything that you earn, but there's been people who set up GoFundMe for unscrupulous things and then had to give the money back and stuff like that. So I just feel like in his wife's case, I really wish maybe she had just had that conversation with some of the people closest to him, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, all right. Again, take your rest, brother. Thank you for the laughs. So next up on Hot Topic. So as you can see, we are in Louisiana, and we're going to share a little bit of video with you all so you can see. So a little bit of the Hurricane Ida restoration and recovery. So we are in what's Thibodaux, Louisiana. We are an hour southwest of New Orleans. And then areas here and even further south, like Houma, Louisiana, and then going down. So the river parishes, St. Rose, Luling, Hahnville, Laplace, all of those areas that are just west of New Orleans in the but along the river, those parishes. Further south in
St. Charles Parish.
In St. Charles Parish, yeah. Further south where we are, southwest, Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, those parishes where a large portion of the Louisiana seafood industry resides, in those areas going south, further south, out to near the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of devastation. There's still some areas around here that don't have full power recovery. We just shot a little bit of video, cell phone video. We wanted to show it to you so you can see just the debris that's building up on side the roads, because they're trying to get to the debris, the power lines. We don't have enough pictures of all the power lines that we've seen down, but we're also seeing people continue to work on the power lines. So we're going to try to get this. You can see some of the video. We're going to try to make it bigger, just so you can see. You can see us driving down the road there. A lot of this footage is taken in Richland, Louisiana, which is leading up to where we are in Thibodaux. We drove a little bit around Thibodaux today. We saw linemen out still doing work. You see lots of blue tarps and roofs. Again, lots of roadside debris and lots of debris. That's our neighbor's yard that the tree has broke. The pine tree is broken and fallen into the truck there. So we just want to say that this area is not out the woods. This week will mark a month. So 4 weeks since the storm. And
on the 29th.
On the 29th. Yeah. There are a lot of places and a lot of people who are still displaced. I was in contact via social media with a cousin who they're still displaced because the home is not there, right? So what do you do when you lose everything? And so I don't know. What did you think as we were driving around Thibodaux today and just driving in? Because we still haven't gone out and explored too much.
So the first thought that came to my mind is that this is actually better than it was, which says a lot, because that means that it was really, really bad. And one of my friends, when I talked to her about it, she was just like, our little town has never looked like this in all of my life, and we've been through hurricanes before, so we know what the debris and the devastation can look like. I think that but people are really, they're tired, they're frustrated. They're trying to deal with insurance companies and
like the adjuster just came today.
Yeah,
and so it's like we're 4 weeks out. Our parents have been back in their home for 2 weeks, and the adjuster is just getting here to assess. The day of the storm, like right after the storm, we put in a request with the Army Corps of Engineers for the Blue Roof Project, so they will come out and put blue tarps on people's house. They just called today about, do you still need a tarp put on your roof? Now,
It had been raining quite a lot.
It has been raining, like, so if we hadn't had somebody, you were able to get a friend, brother to come out and do it. If that hadn't been done, we still would be having water and leaking into one of these rooms. So
yeah, I was just gonna say the other piece is that they're also the thing that happens a lot of times during these storms is that, you know, you have people who take advantage of the situation, and I think that's the most disheartening piece, that you have people who, you know, my dad told me a story that our neighbor said that somebody saw the truck that we just showed you, and somebody passed by and said, hey, you know, I can come and cut that down for you, I can take care of that for you for $6,000, you know. So there are a lot of people who try to take advantage of the situation, like to price gouge, things like that. And so, you know, I think the main thing is evacuation isn't easy. It's a process. Everybody can't afford to do it. When they do it and they come back home, sometimes they don't know what they're going to come back home to. You know, is very similar to like a lot of the wildfires out west. They don't know what they're going to come back home to. Some people, like where our grandmother's house is, have lost everything. And, you know, we've seen a lot of the giveaways as well. So we've passed by and there have been tents set up and people are giving food and things away, food trucks and things. And a lot of people are utilizing those services. So just continue to pray for the area. If you can help, I would say, you know, if you have local organizations that you want to give to, absolutely do so. But I am still a proponent of the American Red Cross. I know everybody doesn't agree with that, but I do, because I have seen them in action. So, and you know, this area is resilient. So we'll be great. We'll be fine. We'll take care of each other and ourselves. But you know, it's tough. I mean, and for anybody who's like, well, why don't they just move or whatever, you know, again, there's something everywhere.
There's layers upon layers upon layers. So for those of you who love coming to Louisiana and you love Louisiana seafood, the places that we're talking about, those are the people who go out and fish for it. Those are the people who go out and get the Gulf fish. They go out and get the Gulf shrimp. They go out and get the oysters. So all those things that you love when you come to Louisiana, those parishes are the ones that have been impacted and where people actually live on their shrimp boats, right? So we haven't ventured down there yet because we know that based on the power lines we see that's still down there, they still working on here at the northern part of the parish. We know those that are closer. The closer you get to the Gulf of Mexico, we know it's really, really bad. So yes, people are resilient, but they are tired. They really are. So if you can help in any way, whether it's Red Cross, whether it's Second Harvest Food Bank, if you donate to Second Harvest in this area, maybe you even go online and find a local church. If you want to make sure that your donations are getting directly to people, but even talk to your own churches about, hey, if you're AME, if you Baptist, hey, have we connected with one of the churches in these areas, in the Houma area, in the Thibodaux area, in Jefferson Parish, in Southern Jefferson Parish, Lafitte area? Have we connected with one of those churches where we can be of aid and really have an impact, an immediate impact in people's lives? Because in some of these homes that are inhabitable, people are living in their inhabitable home because they have where else are they going to go, right? So it's a very complex situation, and this too shall pass. But this leads me into the next hot topic, and I don't have a little banner set up for it, but we'll talk about it. This debate over infrastructure. This debate over infrastructure. Let me tell y'all something. Y'all congressmen's,
not
men's, women's, senators, all of this BS, this needs to stop. It's time to rally them. It is time to say enough is enough. We live in a country that is supposed to be the leader in all manner of things. We are behind in education. We're behind in high-speed broadband access. We're behind in our roads, bridges, airports. Travel to a foreign country and look at the airport, and you know we're just behind on so much in technology. I'm like, how are these small island countries, as soon as you come in they come, they're like, you better download this app and we're going to contact trace you all around here, you know where you are, before you can even you and I coming to our island with the potential of spreading this disease. That's an infrastructure investment. So roads, so there's physical infrastructure and there's human infrastructure. And so there's this debate over the human infrastructure. Why people not going back to work? Because they don't have affordable child care. People don't have affordable housing. It, these infrastructure issues are going to break this country and destroy this country, in my estimation. So you better get on the phone with your senators and your congressmen, because if the Louisiana Gulf is not restored, if um if some of these climate interventions that are related to infrastructure in terms of fuel efficiency and all of these things are not put into place, it's just we're gonna crumble from the inside. And if we're really gonna crumble from the inside, I don't know. That's what I think. I don't. What you think, sis? I see we got a couple comments on this too.
Go to the comments first, girl, because I don't know. It's my thoughts.
Behind in life. Yes, we behind in everything. We have not updated since Reconstruction. No, we really haven't. You think about the last real, we still trying to get high speed rail in this. In China, you could go from one end of the country to the other end of the country, which is a huge country and much larger than this country, on a high speed train. And we are fighting over, can we take a train? We still trying to get a train from Miami to Orlando. I know it's going to be coming soon. Looking forward to the Bright Line, but still, it's unfathomable that you go to rural communities like these and there's not broadband everywhere.
Well, it's unfathomable that I go to Los Angeles and people are living in tents. It's unfathomable that you had thousands of Haitian refugees.
We're going to talk about that too.
Seeking, they're trying to get better. And the thing is, our poor is still better than what they have, but they're seeking better. We don't have infrastructure set up, like you said, physical versus systems, human infrastructure. I don't know, yeah, I'm tired. It is exhausting every day, like watching the news, wondering why we have to have debates about being better. Like, if we seriously say we're the greatest country in the world, how is this a debate? To people
to
still don't, people don't have clean water on a regular basis in this country.
Yeah,
we have questions about whether or not you should run pipelines through sacred lands, and I don't get it. We have power grid.
What is this, sister? What is this?
Because I'm trying to find
it. She's trying to find it.
I'm trying to conjure it up. Because I'm like, we talked about this the last time. We saw what happened in Texas over one winter storm. And then we have evidence, whether you want to call it global warming or not, we have evidence that storms are getting progressively worse across the country.
More intense.
They're more intense. It was still, when I left Arizona, it went down to 90-something degrees. It's like fall is not in existence anymore. I just got to wait for winter. But I say all that because, when I even talk to, folks at work, and we're talking about the fact that we need to modernize the power grid, because now you have more electronic cars and you're having homes that have all of these devices. We have more reliance on our power grid, but we saw what happened in Texas with just a hard freeze. So I don't.
In here, where they're still putting up all these poles,
Right.
and it's like, okay, you have one energy company that's already pretty much a monopoly that now wants to be a greater monopoly, Entergy. No, hashtag cancel Entergy. Because you failed here and you still failing. And so now you want to, we give us all of the power and we're gonna do better. No, we need y'all need some competition around here. You need modern lines, all of these utility poles, like you said. We have smart homes, smart cars, smartphones, everything. We have smart refrigerators. We have everything that is taking up electrical demands.
Yeah.
We're not serious about renewable energy sources like solar and wind. Our infrastructure, we're going to crumble from the inside, folks. So I would say y'all better call your congressmen and women's and say, listen, enough is enough and too much stink. And I don't care what party you in, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Independent. I don't care what party you in, we are going to fall apart.
But the sad thing, go ahead to the comments. The sad thing is, I don't know that we will do anything unless we fall apart.
But then it's too damn late.
I know, but isn't that like
that's the American way?
Yeah, that's our history, right?
Child,
because I always remember, I think about when President Obama was in office, and so many people complained about him bailing out Wall Street, bailing out the car industry, right? And automobile industry. And I just, I remember thinking, well, let it fall, because obviously people can't appreciate why you don't want it to crumble. And, we're talking about going towards getting closer to 9% unemployment. Well, the last time I remember us being there at 9% unemployment, that was around that 2008, 2009 timeframe. So, and people were not happy about that, during the Great Recession or what have you. So, I don't know. It just feels like we just don't learn until it all falls down, and we got to build it back up again. I don't know.
Oh, we got some comments here on this. Our leaders are too old, both parties. They have no foresight. I definitely agree with that. The facts the facts, I'm the South, the power grids are still above ground. The fact is, too many of them are still above ground. Folks are not connecting the weather with global warming. I don't know what they're connecting it with, child, because I don't know. Except smart people, I guess. I don't know.
We got smartphones, smart devices, smartphones, except smart people.
I got you. Yes. So I don't know, folks. I don't know where this is all going to end and where it's going to land, but I definitely know that we have to demand more. We have to expect more, and we're going to have to make some serious sacrifices. I guess, and we got to push these people, like, cause I'm tired of all of them, like, for real. I'm tired of all of them.
I mean, yeah, they all are getting very problematic.
And I want to say this, because it's gonna, as we get into this next topic about the Haitian refugees. The word now is the Biden administration. It was the Trump administration. Here's the thing, y'all. Y'all keep electing the same god dig darn it congressmen and senators. It don't matter who the president is. The administration, the people who make the laws are not doing their job. The people who make the laws, forget executive orders. The people who make the laws that impact our life and how we move and go about in this country, they are in office too doggone long, and it is time for term limits. It's time. It's time for them to go, and it's time for we need to modernize our politics too.
Yeah, it's time for term limits, but at the end of the day, it's also time for us to get away from this partisan. Like, I don't understand how you say you are for the American people, but you don't know how to work with somebody who doesn't absolutely believe every single thing that you believe. Like, that's weird to me. I mean, we work all the time in our daily lives. We're forced to work with people we don't like, we don't agree with. We're forced to do that. So I'm not understanding how elected officials are not being forced to do this. And I guess I look around and I'm like, where is the microcosm? Where is the one city or one county or parish or what have you that is like, you know what? No, we're going to be different. We are going to be the standard instead of allowing other people to set the standard. Where is that? Because that's what I would like to see.
I'd like to see it too, but honey, I don't know. Hopefully we can see it in our lifetime, child. Look. Let's see. The problem is that no one is really concerned about these issues. The ones concerned do not have any pull or power. Clearly they don't, but we have pull and power, and we let our voices get drowned out by the QAnons of the world. We got to stop that too. We got to raise our voice and raise it loud. Now, this got to take a deep breath on this one. Got to take a deep breath on this one. So you've all seen the images. We don't need to show images. We don't need to show videos. This past week, about 12 to 15,000 Haitian refugees were in Del Rio, Texas, seeking. I guess they were seeking asylum. Now, as you start to dig into this story a little more, so let's just say these things full stop. The horseback, I was about to cuss. See, we talked about cussing in Sunday school this morning. Ooh, girl, let me pull them words back into my mouth. The horseback with the reins or the whip, whatever you want to call it, it just should not have been coming in contact with a human being. Just our immigration policy periods in this country. Mm-hmm. So let me say this, as I said earlier. Forget the Biden administration. Forget the Trump administration. Forget the Obama administration. Our Congress has not done anything to address immigration since Ronald Reagan. And he been out of office for a long time.
He went to glory.
And he done gone to glory a long time. Him and Nancy is gone to glory at this point. But not since the 80s has anything of significance in transforming our immigration policies in this country has occurred. So here we are. And as climate change gets worse, you're going to have more geological refugees as well. That's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Because some people islands are being taken over by water and their islands will no longer exist. But that's another conversation for another day. But with these Haitian refugees specifically, and this is the thing that gets me. These weren't refugees from the most recent earthquake.
Right.
These was refugees from 2010 who were in South America and Mexico. They were in Brazil, and they moved to Chile and what have you. I'm going to tell you, the inhumane treatment, excuse me, the inhumane treatment, because our Congress won't do their job, is a problem. The inhumane treatment, whether it's driven by race, white supremacy, the history of between this country and Haiti, all of that is wrong. But something ain't clean in the milk with this story. Because as I drill down further, I'm wondering, 12 to 15,000 people don't move in concert all together without somebody having driven them. Because they have been there for 10 years already,
right?
Where they were. Something is not adding up. But at the end of the day, yeah, Black Caucus have something to say and get out on the steps of Congress and lambast the Biden administration about its policy. But the fact is, y'all ain't did y'all job either. Because you would be pushing these people to have some better immigration policy. I'm going to toss it to you.
Again, another one that is so.
You about to do this again?
Yes, it's so multi-layered. And I am going to do this because here's the thing. I don't know. Listen, I grew up in Louisiana. I don't know much about Texas geography. But to your point about something not being clean in the milk, I'm like, wait a minute. How all the Haitians ended up under this bridge in Del Rio, but the Mexican immigrants are risking life and limb trying to jump over this wall situation. I didn't understand that. I'm like, well, why they ain't just going to Del Rio? I mean, clearly in Del Rio you can get across. The whole situation is, again, unfathomable. I don't understand. Like you said, whether it's race or not, our immigration policies suck. And the reason why they're so frustrating for me is because we want to, I don't know what Lady Liberty has. Bring me all these people she said, I'm talking about bring, but you obviously don't want all of them. And although, I don't have too many things positive to say about Donald John Trump, I have nothing positive to say about him. But at least he was honest, because the comment that he made about Haiti being an S-hole country, for me, it's like, well, obviously that's how other people feel. They just ain't saying it. And you demonstrate that through your policies or your lack of action on this topic. Mm-hmm. And the immigration thing is so messy because certain countries get certain precedents over other countries. The fact that, again, they can bring 96,000 Afghans here, Afghani people here, and they're seeking political asylum. But a hurricane, natural disasters, and the fact that I don't know, it was the president that was assassinated, that doesn't count as reason to seek political asylum. Like it's just so murky and so dirty. And I just feel like these are things that should have been discussed and handled a long time ago. And again, it is very unfortunate to me that no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, we haven't learned how to, politics has gotten so divisive that we won't work for the betterment of humankind. Mm-hmm. Like, we just won't be like, listen, you may not agree with everything. I may not agree with everything. Even, see, and this is why you can't say nothing, because it falls apart. Even with the police reform act or bill that they were trying to get through the other day, what's his name? Tim Scott, mm-hmm. and Cory Booker. That fell apart. I mean, I give respect to Cory Booker. At least he didn't try to slam Tim Scott. Tim Scott tried to make it like, oh, well, the Democrats. I am so tired. And I guess I wish more Americans would just be like, you know what? I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. Like you said, Libertarian, Green Party. Hell, you could be a Whig still if you want to be. But there comes a time when you have to put these political ideologies to the side and just say, we're going to do the best, what's for the greater good of society. And it's sad to me that we can't do that. But what I'm convinced of is that's not on purpose. That's not on accident. That's on purpose. It is very purposeful that only certain people's immigration or migration story matters. It is very purposeful that we have laws that keep certain folks out of this country. So it's unfortunate that we haven't figured out how to get beyond partisan politics to do the right thing for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a sad situation. So they said it was planned by whom? That's the thing. Who planned it? I know in my heart of hearts, for 12,000 people to leave at one time, something had to be planned and or coordinated.
Mhm.
That just does not happen. That you walk through Mexico.
Again, because
But y'all were in Chile, which Chile is far from Mexico, okay? Brazil is far from Mexico, okay?
Well, and then that's another thing. A lot of the what people deem as Mexican immigrants are actually from Central America.
Yeah.
That all of that is far. I just be like, man,
Yeah.
you
Nicaragua, El Salvador,
Salvador,
San Salvador, Guatemala, Costa Rica, all of those Central American countries.
And so at this point, I just feel like it speaks volumes if you will risk life and limb to try to get here. And then it speaks volumes when you put your child in somebody else's care and just say, go, because I want that better life for that child. And again, and we're complaining about the issue. So it tells you that it must really be bad where they're at.
But then let's go to this point, because since all of us Black Americans who have something to say now, but y'all go to the Dominican Republic like it ain't none of it, and they on the same island, and they don't even want Haitians to cross over to their side of the island, but y'all support them in all their resorts and hotels and everything else. Don't be mad. Don't be mad, because the places that you support is supporting this bullshit too.
Well, I think
and they on the same island.
I just think
it's the same island. They cousins.
They just speak French versus
one
Spanish.
speaks French, one speaks Spanish. Yeah. They are on the exact same tract of land, and they don't want to let them over there to even get food and supplies there. All of these people who got industry, and they have choked off and cut off Haiti for years and years and years. The United States, France, y'all mad at the United States because they went behind and got with Britain, and Australia was like, we don't want y'all submarines. Y'all mad. Thank you, Keisha. Divided by grass. And that's the problem. So, because y'all always want to go over there and vacation.
Yeah, I mean, I think to Shireen's point here that Haitian people are us. We are them. And especially being from Louisiana, whether the folks want to admit it or not, whether the Creole population would like to talk about it or not, I mean, that is very much the basis of the Creole culture. Hey, Miss Debbie. Louisiana. So we got to do better. We got to do better about our brothers and sisters who look like us and who are part of the African diaspora. And we should demand more, like we said, from our congressmen and women, particularly those in the legislative Black caucus, because at the end of the day,
the hypocrisy is rich all everywhere. The hypocrisy is rich. The Hispanic caucus, the Black caucus, all the caucus, the women caucus, all y'all. The hypocrisy is rich, and I am over it, sick of it, tired of it, because the bottom line, and you said it first, and I say it a lot, our collective and shared humanity. We need to get to our collective and shared humanity. And just on the strength of you being a human being, how am I going to treat you? Just on the strength of you being a human being. Because some of y'all do dogs in the street better. Y'all
no, not some.
A lot of them. Y'all pick up a stray. Who girl? They will pick up a stray in a heartbeat. Listen, and we've been taking on them ways. Don't get me started about us taking on them other people's ways, because that is not who we are. Ooh, child.
Right. Well, I will say this, and
yes, we should demand of everyone better.
And I know we said we weren't going to show the pictures, because we've all seen the pictures, and we saw the images, we saw the video, and we also shouldn't let people gaslight us and try to tell us it wasn't a whip, it was a rain. I don't care what it was. Like you said, there's no reason
for it to come in contact with a human,
right? And so
it was something designed for your damn horse,
right? And again, here we have where
And
you're
then
treating
you see the people walking on. Girl, don't get me started, because I'm like, this person clearly walked to wherever in Texas or further in Mexico. They went crossed over back into Mexico because they had food containers in a plastic bag like you get from the grocery, and was walking back with the food, bringing the food that they went just got back to their family. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. So yes, it was definitely it, but those tears were tears of anger for me. For not sadness, but anger and frustration. Let's see. Rosalind says, "Did you hear even the photographer saying we are misinterpreting the photo? It was not that bad. It didn't have to be that bad. You shouldn't have did it at all."
Well, I think the thing for me is, where did the horses come from? Because I've never seen the Border Patrol use horses.
They do have mounted patrols, like they have mounted police.
Okay, fine. But I had never seen them used on any other populations of people. And I definitely didn't see a rain whip, whatever. I hadn't seen that done before. And so it, to me, you again, gaslighting. I listened to this man on CNN talk about, they were overwhelmed. It was so many people. These people aren't trying to hurt or attack, or they weren't being malicious. So let's not lie about what was happening there. If the photographers felt like we were misinterpreting, then they didn't have to take the pictures.
That's right. But then let me say this. This is why I know something ain't clean in the milk. Because in 24 to 48 hours, 15,000 people was moved out. In 24 to 48 hours. And I think they sent back, of those, I think that actually got sent back to Haiti.
I thought it was like 4,000, but I don't know.
But again, 15,000 people, 10,000 people in 24 to 48 hours, they ain't nobody under the bridge no more. Now, when they have Sundays under the bridge in New Orleans, honey, and that's a celebration. Y'all got to know about under the bridge. It's be more 24 hours before people move out from under the bridge.
All I know is
during Mardi Gras, people be stayed up under the bridge.
All I know is that we have built detention centers, and we have found ways to hurt and harm people. I just don't understand why we can't find ways to care about them. Those same buildings, why did they have to be detention centers? Why couldn't they be places of refuge? Because even the way you speak about it,
the language,
it
matters. So you are tuned in right now to Hey Sister. We are live. We're here in our hometown. We're talking about hot topics because we will not be with you on next Sunday. So we wanted to come to you with our hot topics early. We'll be celebrating the sister on next Sunday because it is her birthday. Go, Chrissy. It's your birthday. Yes. So thank y'all for watching and being so active in the comments. Our next hot topic, we're talking all hot topics tonight. Our next hot topic, let's see which one we have up next. Okay, we're gonna share this little video. So I was tagged. I received this link about Laurel Valley Plantation here in Thibodaux, and on TikTok. I'm gonna show it with y'all. And then I was tagged in by a couple other people on Instagram. Have you seen this? Because, folks know I'm from Thibodaux. As you see, I got my Dough Girl shirt on. I'm not ashamed about being from the Dough. It's all good. Because as Joe Black said, it ain't where you from, it's where you at. But y'all don't know about that Joe Black. I had to tell you about that. So we got this. So we had to look up the little guy. He got a whole slew of videos up here. I'm trying to find like the one that we were tagged in. That's part 4. Like, how many parts did he go get? This part 2. Part 2.
No, wait. Is it part 1? Maybe part 1 or part 2.
Okay. So anyway,
he went to South Down too. He said he missed the Louisiana, so I guess that's
So
why.
we're going to, I'm going to share screen. Let me share this.
Mr. Louisiana.
Which, all right. So we got a whole bunch of videos up here, but I think it might have been this one.
No, I don't.
Yeah, because this one, because it got 2.9 million.
Yeah.
I think it's this one.
Yeah.
This is Lower Valley, Louisiana.
Yeah.
This is all slave houses.
Hopefully you all can see this.
In Thibodaux.
Let us know if y'all can see it. See that.
You can road that passes. But these are all actual slave houses. Every single one of them. This is where the movie, like The Butler, how they have like the slave houses at the beginning of the movie. It was filmed here.
Oh, cannot see. Okay.
Like I said, it's Lower Valley. Lower Valley, Thibodaux, Louisiana. This is actual slaves lived in there. Slaves lived in all ages. That one finally got demolished. I know people get, hate comments, why it's still up and all that. I don't know why. I'm not sure about all this, but these are the actual, real, legit slave houses.
Okay.
Yes, the music. So you see the music he had playing, and he is not of a melanated hue. I don't know if they say that first and foremost. So, but he calls himself Mr. Louisiana. Whatever. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't follow. Obviously, it was shared because, like I said, this video is definitely going viral. It has over 2 million views, and so, I'd say we got to talk about it, and we got to talk about it here in Hot Topics because I really want people to understand some things. And I saw Miss Debbie is on, Debbie Trigg. So if you still on, Miss Debbie, we want you to definitely jump into these comments. So when people sent the video, I was like, and like, what are y'all tagging me in this video for? Do you know about this? Do I know about it? So full disclosure, I've never visited Laurel Valley Plantation. I have visited, she has. I have visited any number of plantations here because they everywhere. Okay. Oak Alley, St. Joe Plantation, the Whitney Plantation. So the Whitney Plantation was the only plantation that was dedicated from the history is from the view of the enslaved person. And so it was definitely a different experience from every other plantation I've been to growing up all my life because they everywhere. And actually, if you travel around a lot of the South, you still see plantation homes. So one of the questions that came up in the video was about should those places still be up? Why they haven't been torn down? I want to make something very clear to folks out there. People lived in those homes and on these plantations to the 80s. We grew up with people.
1980s. Let's be clear.
1980s. We grew up with people. We drove on those plantations to pick up people to catch the bus to go to school that are our age and younger. And those were people, some of them were descendants of those people who had been enslaved on those places. Some of them were people who, after slavery had ended, their families worked those plantations and continued to work on those farms and or fields. So it's a complicated history. What I don't want us to do is forget that complicated history. So I'm gonna toss it to you. What do you think when you saw it?
You know what's funny? So I was tagged in it like twice, and in two different, it was both on Instagram, but two different places where it had been shared on Instagram. And then I got a call from one of my friends who also grew up here, and he was like, I'm conflicted. What are we supposed to kind of feel about this? He was like, because on the one hand, I guess if I didn't grow up here, I guess I might be appalled or whatever. He was like, but and then we started talking about people again that we knew who lived in what we call the quarter houses, who used to ride the bus with us and go to school with us. And so I think for me, it's number one.
And some of them were poor white people too.
Yes. So number one, and like we said, we definitely not going hard at all, capping for the individuals. The plantation, sugarcane plantation, the history of the sugarcane plantations is an egregious one. And so we are absolutely not saying anything as in support of that system or anything like that. But these particular houses these specific houses were built after slavery. So I felt like, number one, some of the information was a little erroneous and he was not giving full context. Number two, like we said, people lived in a lot of those actual physical homes until the 1980s. And because they were descendants of enslaved people on other plantations or just sugarcane laborers. And that's all that they really could afford. And again, if you, depending on who you hear the stories from, they'll tell you. I mean, I've talked to a history professor who would say, like, the accommodations weren't that bad because you got this house and you didn't have to pay rent and you got to farm the land and you could raise your family and all of these things. I even lived in them. So there are those who will paint the picture that it wasn't a terrible existence. And I guess if that's all you knew and that's all you were surrounded by, then you might not think it was a bad existence at all. I think the major thing for me is we have to be careful of the messages and the messengers, because the question about when he said something to the effect of, why are they still here? I don't know. Sorry, we're at home. Remember, we still have landlines here. Why are they still here? Go ahead. Why are they still here? Why are they still in existence? I don't know. Sort of that question that he posed is like, and I saw people saying they should be burned down. And I saw people saying like, that's trash, it's ridiculous, and all this stuff. And I'm like, so we're gonna let somebody else tell us that we need to erase our history? I question the motives. I question the motives of the person behind the camera. And I see that Mr. Louisiana did about 8 parts on Laurel Valley. Looks like he went to Southdown Plantation in Houma as well. But I don't know how much research he's done other than what he's heard. Right. And I just think we always have to invest in telling our stories. So that's why, y'all know I'm doing my documentary, Thibodauxville. Yes, www.thibodauxvillefilm.com. But I think it's important for us to tell our own stories, but also to be very mindful when we hear other people asking questions like, should we still have these homes in existence? We absolutely should have them in existence, because the difference is these are not monuments to nothingness. These are not statues that were built in the 1950s as monuments
to lost war.
Right, to monuments to white oppression. This is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about here is places that our ancestors toiled on and conditions in which they had to live, and we cannot forget that. Mm-hmm. And we cannot let other people make us forget that. And as one of my sorority sisters who was in the comments on one of those posts that I was also on said, when we have attacks on what can be written in history books about our struggle in this country, when we have people trying to change the narrative,
and trying to remix
it, talking about
it's not that bad,
and enslaved people were migrant workers and things like that. When you have these attacks on our history, we absolutely cannot allow somebody to even make the suggestion that we should get rid of our history.
Yeah. And so one of the comments here from Miss Debbie is, I went to look at my old plantation home after Hurricane Ida. And so Miss Debbie lived in one of these homes. As she said here, what I don't want, so a couple things. I don't want us to mix and conflate. I want us to know the fullness.
Yeah.
The fullness of our story and our experiences. That's why the Whitney plantation was so very important and vital. And
which was heavily damaged by Hurricane Ida. And you can make a donation, because I did that, because that history is so important and vital.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Search the Whitney plantation, make a donation, because we need to preserve the Whitney plantation, because it's told from the perspective of those who were enslaved, and they actually have the actual stories from people who were descendants of slaves, or who were themselves slaves as children, because they have all of their stories. That was done under FDR, where they went around. Zora Neale Hurston was one of those authors who went and did interviews with people, and y'all know of the book Barracoon. So I'm making a whole digression, but nonetheless, we need to tell our stories. And so Keisha says they want us to forget. They want to say it wasn't us, and we should forget and get over it. That's absolutely what is wanted. We should not. And so many of the movies, he referenced The Butler. Many movies that you see where they have slave quarters depicted were filmed at Laurel Valley. Mm-hmm. If you watch the movie Ray, in the beginning, when they were living with him, he was a young boy living with his mom, Laurel Valley. So there's a lot of rich history there. And we should not ever want to erase our history, because if you don't know where you've been, you ain't gonna know where you're going. And so we need to know. And it ties into everything we talked about tonight. Mm-hmm. The history with Haiti. What is even our relation? Like with Louisiana, New Orleans specifically, there is this big history with Haiti, because we were both French countries, right? So we are linked, and we are inextricably linked, and we're inextricably tied. And we need to remember that, because as a collective, as a human collective, we are failing one another.
True. Now, here's what I will say. While I don't want them to destroy the homes in Laurel Valley, and this also goes back to what we were saying, the family that owns that property has owned it for umpteen years. You can go to their website and look up the history. It is okay, again, for us to have demands, because if you are making money
off of our story and our pain,
then we are allowed to have demands on how that money should be used. And I think that's where we missed the boat. We missed the boat when
hallelujah,
we see people making money off of our situation, and
they could be this,
and they do not pour back into our community. In this community, again, you have families of people who are struggling, who are in abject poverty. Like I said, that's the reason those homes still exist, because abject poverty still exists. So I believe we should have demands on people. You can't make money off of our story and off of our pain and not pour back into these communities. Now, that's what we can do. Don't burn it down. Ask for some reparations.
Where the dollars at? Where the money reside? Where the money reside? That's what I'm gonna say. And with that, we gonna shut this thing down tonight. So we thank y'all for tuning in to this episode of Hey Sister, this evening of Hot Topics. Y'all go do some research, learn more about Laurel Valley Plantation, learn more about Haiti, not just the history of Haiti, but the relationship between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, the relationship between Haiti and France. France was still making them people pay money, and it's the poorest country in this hemisphere. Stop it. Like, oh my God. France made them pay them for having enslaved them. Because y'all decided to break away and get y'all freedom. Ooh, child, I tell you. Yes, we are glad you came too. Good night, Shireen. Thanks for the first time tuning in. Learn so much. Hello. Thanks, Miss Margie, for tuning in. Good night. Enjoy the birthday celebration. We're going to do our best. So see y'all next time. Bye.